the debate between free speech and campus anti-Semitism, the latest shocker has come from the so-called Ivy League colleges of the U.S. The presidents of Harvard, MIT and University of Pennsylvania faced criticism and intense scrutiny after a video of their testimonies at the Congressional hearing on anti-Semitism on campus went viral. When Representative Elise Stefanik asked the presidents, Gay, McGill and Conbluth, on whether calls for genocide of Jews violates their respective universities' code of conduct on bullying or harassment, the trio repeatedly refused a clear yes or no. None of them explicitly said that calls for the genocide of Jews are against the university's regulations. Listen in to what they said.
At MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
So those would not be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules?
That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
I am asking specifically calling for the genocide of Jews. Does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. At Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it
and is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
Now, this video received severe backlash, with many saying that they are ashamed of what they heard. While the White House Press Secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, termed this as unacceptable, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro called Penn President McGill's statements unacceptable and shameful. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla said in a post on X that the testimony is one of the most despicable moments in the history of U.S. academia. Here in India too, economist Sanjeev Sanyal and historian Vikram Sampath called out the university heads and warned of how a similar situation in India must be prevented. Now, here's the twist. Harvard University then put out a clarification tweet, and, till then, of course, the damage was done. The Penn University head also had a change of tone. She posted a video. Take a look at it.
There was a moment during yesterday's congressional hearing on anti-Semitism when I was asked if a call for the genocide of Jewish people on our campus would violate our policies. In that moment, I was focused on our university's longstanding policies aligned with the U.S. Constitution, which say that speech alone is not punishable. I was not focused on, but I should have been, the irrefutable fact that a call for genocide of Jewish people is a call for some of the most terrible violence human beings can perpetrate.
Now, these developments, remember, aren't new to the US. Since the start of the Israel-Hamas war, now just countries and leaders, but students across American campuses have been divided over pro-Israel and pro-Palestine groups. From verbal protests to heckling and manhandling, college campuses in America are witnessing scary, violent scenes, all to defend what students believe in. But do calls for genocide really qualify as freedom of expression? And why should we be very, very concerned about heads of educational institutes not condemning harassment?